Hello, my name is Stella, a 40-year-old woman who has been navigating a 14-year marriage while juggling family duties and a demanding job. My husband, James, 42, works at a supermarket near the station, the very place where our lives first intersected during my university days. We started dating casually when I was working part-time at that same supermarket, eventually getting married when I was 23. Our family now includes our son, Alex, who has just started his university journey this spring. While I am committed to fulfilling my responsibilities, there is a troubling undercurrent in my life: James's reckless spending habits. Although he has the right to spend our hard-earned money, his constant demands for more funds, combined with a lack of transparency, have only worsened our financial situation. When it comes to financial discussions, especially in front of his parents, the atmosphere turns into a battleground. My stand against their endless demands often leads to strong opposition from them. Tensions always seem to rise when Alex's grandparents visit, a sentiment Alex wholeheartedly shares, often choosing to stay away when they come around. However, Alex recently dropped a bombshell that added even more stress to an already strained situation: he caught his father being unfaithful. This revelation left me more heartbroken than furious, yet Alex's support gave me the strength to consider confronting my husband before making any major decisions. As I was gathering my thoughts on how to address this delicate issue, an unexpected situation arose. My husband and his parents suddenly showed up in our living room. What appeared to be a casual visit quickly escalated when my husband suggested we all go on an expensive trip to Hawaii, casually mentioning that he needed $8,000 for the plan. My frustration boiled over, and I seized the moment to confront them, not only about their relentless financial demands but also about my husband's betrayal. The room fell silent as the gravity of my accusation sank in. When I confronted my husband about his infidelity, he initially denied everything, questioning the need for proof and defending his innocence. I countered by telling him that he had been seen entering a hotel with another woman. He then tried to discredit the witness, our own son, which made me pause, not wanting to drag Alex into a messy confrontation. To my astonishment, my mother-in-law downplayed the seriousness of the infidelity, suggesting that such behavior was typical and should be overlooked. I was appalled that she, a woman herself, could dismiss such behavior so lightly. Despite the emotional turmoil, the conversation quickly turned back to their financial request for the Hawaii trip, as if the personal betrayal was just a minor distraction. Frustrated with the ongoing financial disputes and the lack of moral sensitivity from my husband, I reached the point where I knew it was time to end our marriage. In a calm but firm voice, I declared that we were going to divorce. In retaliation, my husband immediately threatened to claim my parents' mansion as part of the property division if we proceeded with the separation. As our argument intensified, my cell phone rang, briefly interrupting the heated moment. It was my uncle, my father's brother, with distressing news. My father had collapsed and was unconscious, rushed to the hospital by ambulance. I quickly explained the urgent situation to my husband and his parents before rushing to the hospital. Upon arrival, I was relieved to find that my father was stable, though not in the best of health. At 62, he had spent his life dedicated to our family business, working tirelessly to ensure we had a comfortable life. The news of his sudden health crisis deeply shook me, forcing me to consider his irreplaceable role in my life. A few days later, my father regained consciousness, alleviating some of my immediate worries. During a visit with my son, Alex, we shared a moment filled with both relief and concern. However, a subsequent call from the doctor confirmed the severity of my father's condition, exacerbated by years of overwork. Tragically, he passed away not long after. I was enveloped in grief, and throughout this challenging time, Alex remained my steadfast source of support. As an only child, I took on the responsibility of organizing the funeral, a task made even more difficult by my husband's indifference. At the funeral, my in-laws showed up, superficially expressing admiration for the family home while displaying a tactless curiosity about its value. After the memorial services, as I struggled to come to terms with my father's passing, my in-laws paid us an unexpected visit. Despite the circumstances, their attention was unfortunately focused more on materialistic aspects. My mother-in-law, in particular, was fixated on the grandeur of the house, underscoring their ongoing insensitivity and greed in the face of our family's loss. As I grappled with my grief and put away funeral attire, I received a call informing me that my in-laws were unexpectedly on their way to visit. Confused and anxious, I couldn't help but wonder why they were coming. My apprehension grew as I braced myself for another conversation likely centered around financial issues. Resolute in understanding their intentions, I prepared myself for a meaningful discussion upon their arrival. As they walked in, the mood shifted. My in-laws, who had tagged along with my husband, settled onto the sofa with satisfied grins. The tension thickened when my husband, out of the blue, suggested that we move out of our spacious house and that his parents move in with us in a new home. Shocked by this suggestion, I reaffirmed my decision to proceed with the divorce, a choice driven by the need to manage my late father's affairs without further interference. Ignoring both his infidelity and our impending divorce, my husband nonchalantly insisted that everything we owned, including my inheritance, should be shared equally as spouses. His bold assumption of entitlement to my father's wealth infuriated me. Meanwhile, his parents casually discussed their room preferences in the potential new mansion, further aggravating my frustration. Determined to protect the legacy my father had worked so hard to build, I vowed never to let them have their way. Their audacity, treating my father's house and wealth as if it were rightfully theirs, had stretched my patience to its limits. A few days later, amidst these tumultuous events, I received a call from my uncle. His comforting words reassured me that I was handling the situation well despite the overwhelming challenges. However, our conversation took an unexpected turn when he mentioned urgent news that required a face-to-face meeting that very night. When we met, my uncle revealed shocking details about my husband and his parents, information that left me stunned by its gravity. Determined to find a way forward, I confided in him about the outrageous demands and claims made by my in-laws. Outraged by their boldness, my uncle assured me that he would help manage the situation. Curious about his approach, I eagerly met with him again the next day, this time bringing along my son, Alex. The plan was to enlighten Alex about the true nature of his father and grandparents and to prepare him for the difficult times ahead. Armed with this new strategy, I called my in-laws over for a discussion about the possibility of all 6 of us living together in my family home. The proposal seemed to catch everyone off guard. But once they realized we were serious, my mother-in-law quickly warmed up to the idea, excited at the prospect of living in what she called a dreamlike mansion. However, the excitement was short-lived. Reality hit when my father-in-law suddenly brought up the cancellation fee for their previously planned trip, demanding reimbursement. Their unabashed self-interest was glaring, and I was appalled by their audacity, yet my mother-in-law remained unfazed. She reassured everyone that they would manage the finances soon enough, brushing aside any immediate concerns. Having dealt with my husband and in-laws' relentless pursuit of money for so long, I had grown somewhat numb to their schemes. But this time, their sheer selfishness struck a deeper chord, reminding me of the challenging road ahead and standing up to their manipulative tactics. Alex, however, wasn't as accustomed to their blatant greed. He was visibly upset and angered by their audacity. To comfort him, I gently patted his shoulder and assured him that we would handle the situation together. As the discussion about moving into my family home continued, I decided to play along, fully aware that their expectations were far from reality. James, my husband, probed into the logistics of the move, his tone unusually sharp. Trying to ease the tension, I explained that Alex and I would head over first to prepare the house, emphasizing that it was a substantial task and that we needed to start early. James, however, expressed doubt about Alex's ability to handle such responsibilities, given his status as a student. I skillfully steered the conversation, assuring him that Alex was more than capable of managing his tasks. Despite his skepticism over trivial issues, my mother-in-law remained cheerfully oblivious to the undercurrents. The conversation soon shifted to the size of the mansion and the number of rooms, which seemed to excite her. Seizing the opportunity, I suggested they choose their rooms first and proposed a gradual approach to cleaning and organizing, considering my busy work schedule. My measured responses temporarily satisfied their expectations, leaving them pleased with what they perceived as a victory. In reality, I was carefully setting the stage to challenge their presumptions and bring their lofty expectations crashing down. The moving day was set for a month later, giving me enough time to strategize and ensure that events unfolded in a way that aligned with both fairness and reality. When the day finally arrived, my husband and in-laws pulled up in a moving truck, believing they were about to take possession of what they assumed was their new home. Alex and I stood at the front entrance, ready to meet them. Ignoring my husband's attempts at humor, I couldn't help but notice the sparkle of excitement in my in-laws' eyes, oblivious to the fact that their illusions were about to be shattered. As the gate swung open, my uncle, my father's brother, stepped out of the house. His presence was silent yet commanding. He confronted my husband and in-laws, leaving them puzzled. It was clear that my husband barely remembered my uncle from the funeral. Setting the record straight, my uncle firmly asserted his authority over the estate and clarified the details of the inheritance distribution. The shock on my husband and his parents' faces was evident as they grasped the gravity of their misunderstanding. Despite my uncle's assertive explanation, my husband attempted to remain calm, trying to gloss over the confrontation. However, the tension escalated when Alex stepped in, accusing his father of infidelity. His revelation left my husband visibly shaken. Unable to deny the truth, he was exposed. Alex had seen him entering a hotel with another woman, confirming the suspicion I had harbored all along. When confronted, my husband adamantly denied the accusations, refusing to admit his wrongdoings. Alex, distressed by his father's betrayal and the damage it had caused our family, urged him to leave our lives for good. Yet, even amid this emotional turmoil, my in-laws remained fixated on financial matters. They insisted on a formal division of property, their relentless pursuit of money standing in stark contrast to the personal pain they had inflicted. The final blow came when my in-laws announced that they had given up their apartment and quit their jobs, fully expecting to live in what they believed would be the family mansion. I was speechless. Even more shocking was their admission that both my husband and father-in-law had resigned from their jobs, planning to rely entirely on what they assumed would be their share of my father's inheritance. Stunned by their reckless decisions and entitled expectations, I stood firm, asserting my rightful claim as my father's child and demanding a fair distribution of his estate. Fortunately, my uncle, who was also a lawyer, took control of the legal matters. He revealed my husband's infidelity with solid evidence gathered from a month-long investigation. The truth stunned my husband and his parents, forcing them to confront the consequences of their actions. With my uncle's guidance, I made it clear that any further discussions would be handled through legal channels and demanded that they never contact me again. My husband shot me a final hostile look, but realizing they had lost, he and his parents left without further incident. In the aftermath, I expressed deep gratitude to my uncle for his unwavering support. Once the legal proceedings were finalized, Alex and I moved into the family home, fulfilling the wishes of both my father and grandfather. I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the opportunity to live in a house filled with cherished memories. Inspired by my uncle's example, Alex dedicated himself to his studies with the goal of becoming a successful lawyer. Meanwhile, my ex-husband and his parents faced the harsh reality of their choices. Struggling to find new jobs, they settled into a small, old apartment, far from the luxury they had envisioned. Eventually, my ex-husband, now financially strained, reached out to me for help. But I had completely severed ties. I refused to provide any financial support, reinforcing our estrangement. Forced to adjust to his new reality with part-time jobs, he was left to face the consequences of his own greed and deception. Relieved of their burdensome presence, I focused on my career, looking forward to Alex's graduation. After all the turmoil, I stood proud, grateful for the lessons learned, the strength I had gained, and the new beginning that awaited us.